Hey there everyone, it's Evil Monkey. I was just taking my new hover bike out for a ride, enjoying the view, and I thought it was about time to let you guys know how Season 3 demo was. Was it good, was it bad? Let's go ahead and hop right into it. So I'm certain one of the things most people are curious about is Nell, and yes, she was playable in the demo, and she felt fantastic to play. She felt balanced, her kit felt amazing, all of her abilities felt like they intertwined together and worked well. They all synergized. Her kit had a clear task of what it wanted to do. I could see multiple builds coming out of it. And once again, one of the best things, it was balanced. It didn't feel like it was underpowered. It didn't feel like it was overpowered. It felt just right. And this is kind of big because our last two new descendants, not including ultimate descendants, just our last two normal descendants, were Serena and Inez, and those characters broke the game. And one of the developers' goals is to try and release characters in a more balanced state. Now, this isn't saying that we could just have a build randomly come up for Nell that could just break the game. It's completely possible. People find the craziest builds ever. But from what I was playing and what I could see, everything felt good and balanced. She seems like she'll be really fun to play. I'm definitely on player day one. I can't wait to get her unlocked so I can start making a build for her. She's going to be a fun character to play. I think a lot of people will enjoy her a lot. And she had a nice balance between gunplay and skill play, like skill abilities play. She just is going to be such a good character to play. So after Nell, of course, I have to mention the weapons that came out as well. We had the Eraser and the Exterminator. These guns felt pretty good. I think the rocket launcher, the Exterminator, was the funnest. Like, just being able to lock on is so much fun. It felt good to use. The lock on screen was pretty cool looking. Oh, you guys can see on screen there. It's fun to use. I feel like even if this gun was complete garbage stat wise, I would probably still use it just because it's a lot of fun to use. And the other one, the Eraser, its passive seemed cool reading it, but it didn't have any like wow factor on it. It was okay to use. It was just like your average scout rifle, but it felt okay. Like there was just no wow factor. It's not like Malevolent where you shoot the blades. Uh, restored relic, you get a million rockets. There wasn't anything flashy. It was just a pretty standard gun, but its passive seemed like it'd be pretty good. As I'm sure most people know, a new Legion's getting introduced in Season 3. And this is probably the biggest thing where I'm just kind of mixed opinion at from the demo. I think part of this may come from the fact that when they announced the demo, they said all the stats and a lot of the stuff would be tailored for a demo. So I think they dialed back on how strong the enemies were by a significant margin, so you could actually make it through the demo without any issue. But if not, then it's kind of worrying. Like, the enemies did no damage. I did not feel under threat at all. Even when like the mini boss and the elite spawned, I just didn't feel any threat, which was very unfortunate. Like, the spikers that are the new enemy are supposed to be this big threat, but you guys can see, I'll throw it on screen right there. I stood there and just tanked the mini boss. Now, once again, if this is just because they wanted you to get through the demo easier, then that's fine. But when Axion actually comes out, they need to make these enemies a threat. I need to be, like, cognizant of these enemies. I shouldn't just be able to ignore their mechanics. I need to be aware of them, saying, oh, that's a threat. I got to pay attention to that. And that was, like, the disappointing thing. Now, the enemy itself, if we, ignore the low damage numbers, was actually really cool. Like, the spikers, they had this cool mechanic where you had to like rip off their armor so that they took more damage. Their movesets were really cool. These were definitely a huge step up from previous bosses and mini bosses. These were like what you really want to see. Like, you could tell they put in a lot of effort into this. And once again, these are a step. That's what I always love about these developers for the First Descendant, is if you look at all the content that they've released, each time it's like evolving into something better. Void Vessel was the evolution of our base dungeons. Sigma Sector was another level of that. And every time the bosses got cooler and cooler and cooler. I think this boss will be cool if they once again fix the damage numbers. But yeah, it was a very fun one to fight. I think the other cool thing is this was very visually awesome. Like, all their moves had these cool visuals. They were very cool to fight. It felt very cinematic. But I think my favorite thing was the battlefield that happened. You guys might be able to see on screen here. It just got this like intense moment where a whole bunch of things started spawning. This felt also way more organic than anything we've had. Like, the enemies actually felt like they were spawning properly. They weren't just poofing into existence like in current content, or teleporting or whatever is like the excuse of the current content, where the enemies just kind of like poof into existence. Like, you saw the enemies dropping out of the dropship. The spawn points, you saw the enemies just crawl out and like dash at you. It felt really cool and organic. I love this fight. This feels like a really fun thing to have happen. Like I said, it felt very cinematic. I felt like this slight intense moment where I just started getting mobbed by all these enemies. All this gunfire was going around, enemies were swarming me, the boss started coming at me. Now, once again, I did take no damage, so even though it felt intense, I wasn't actually in any danger. Also, the enemies that adapt, this also kind of goes into the fact that they can just tweak the numbers. It didn't really feel like they were adapting to damage too well. Like, they didn't seem like they were taking less damage. It felt like they were maybe taking 20% less damage, but I was expecting something like 90% less damage or 80. They need to bump that number up. Otherwise, people won't see the point of bringing in another like weapon type or damage type or element type, whatever you want to say it. But yeah, this battlefield felt so cool. I am excited to see in the actual Axion planes these giant battles. They said there's going to be something specific called a battlefield. And I imagine it's going to be even more intense than this. It just felt phenomenal. Once again, the only reason I'm mixed about this is because as good as it feels, and as cool as it is, if there's no challenge, because this is meant to be the end game content, I feel like I would get bored. We need that like intensity added to it of will I make it through this fight or not? Otherwise, it'll only be fun for a few times. We need that like that tension of am I gonna survive this battle? What am I gonna have to do to beat this battle? Am I gonna have to come back to this battle and rethink it? We need that tension that comes with endgame content. That's why I think if these are the actual numbers that they're gonna give in when Axion comes out, they need to definitely raise the enemy levels. But overall, that's the only thing that they need to do. Is just make the enemies like hit harder. And that's just a number thing. Everything else felt, once again, amazing. The enemies looked cool, the combat felt good, it felt fluid. Nothing felt out of place. I enjoyed it a lot. But how did the bike feel? This one's kind of an interesting one. It felt good to use. Like, it felt very fluid to jump on and off, like they said. The controls felt pretty good. The boost felt good. You know, nothing felt janky at all. It all felt very smooth. The only thing I could say that did not feel good is the animations. Could use some more work. So, like, it kind of went this whole thing of when you're turning, it didn't feel quite like you were turning properly, animation-wise. I think it's this weird thing. Like, you guys can see, I'm you know, you guys can see me on the camera on the screen right there. I'm trying to like visually show what I'm talking about. But basically, what happened was if you go left, the character full leans on the bike. If you go right, the character full leans on the bike going right. The issue is if you go forward and left or forward and right, your character doesn't lean left or right, they lean diagonal. So you don't see like the lean as much, which kind of looks odd. I wish they would, when you turn, you would more lean, like you're leaning into the turn. But instead the character's leaning forward and right, so you don't see the lean animation as much. Makes it a lot more subtle. But you see the lean animation perfectly when you just only go left or right. So I would like to see them, when you turn, you lean a little bit more into the turn. Otherwise, it felt good. I mean, there was no complaints. It felt like a bike. It's a hover bike. That's it. Nothing bad. Of course, we also got to talk about Axion itself. How'd the map look? Now, there's an issue with talking about this, as they did say the map itself was kind of tailored towards the demo. So there's not much to talk about. But from what we were able to visually see, it did look like it was fitting to the lore. Now, if you guys don't know, the lore behind Axion is Axion was supposed to be a second Albion that humanity was constructing, so a second bastion for humanity. And then the Volga said, nah, you're not making that. And he threw a beacon down and summoned Wall Crasher to destroy Axion. So it's kind of fitting that all of Axion is kind of this like wasteland almost, kind of looking like it's been destroyed. And you know, it looked fitting, but we only saw a small part. The only complaint I have is since we had Wallcrasher go through here and destroy everything, I kind of wish we saw some more destroyed remnants of humanity there, like maybe some buildings or maybe a crashed plane or some vehicles. I don't know, something that indicated that, damn, there was a whole bunch of destruction that ran through here. But there wasn't really anything that I could see there. Now, once again, we only saw a small subset of Axion, and this was more tailored towards the demo. In fact, the whole demo kind of felt almost like a dev test ground over like an actual demo. But that was kind of my first impression. Now, we'll see more once Axion comes out in a couple weeks, though. Now, unfortunately for the wall crash fight, we only actually got to see a minute of it. They shortened it to 1 minute, so you didn't really get to see anything. We didn't do much damage to it, but the abilities it did a lot of damage. It was very cool. Unfortunately, we saw most of these abilities in the first dev stream, like first anniversary dev stream. So there wasn't really much new here. It did feel good and it felt cool. The boss did a lot of damage. Like, I even tested the damage, and I stood when all the lasers targeted me, and if I had stood for 2 seconds in those lasers, I would have died. I stood for 1 second and then noped out of it because I almost died. The other abilities also did a lot of damage. I think the only thing I would say that didn't feel great was that the boss felt really slow. Like, I ran behind the boss and was having trouble keeping up with its turn speed. So maybe just increase the turn speed and the movement speed of the boss a little bit. And then it feels really good. Like, I could also say the movement speed won't really matter too much because, you know, there will be 8 players fighting this thing. And it felt like from the health pool that there would need to be 8 players. Now, the only thing I can say, though, is we did get pre-built builds here. So we didn't, you know, bring Serena into this fight to, like, see if, you know, one Serena can solo the boss fight, which, knowing how broken that character is a possibility. Yeah, the fight felt good. We only got to see a minute of it, we didn't get to see too much. Like I said, it just needs to probably buff its turn speed. I do think there's a missed opportunity here for something really funny, though. Okay, the boss is called Wallcrasher, and the boss arena is in, like, surrounded by all these walls. But he comes in from the sky, and he just, like, crash lands. I think it would have been hysterical if they had him Kool-Aid Man run through the wall. Just like, if you guys ever watched the Kool-Aid commercial, there's a thing called a Kool-Aid Man intro, and it's when he just bursts through the wall and says, "Oh yeah." If they had done that, I would have laughed so hard. It's a missed opportunity. Outside of that, though, like I said, it feels fine. I think the arena felt a little plain. I think it would have been cooler if we maybe fought him like the destroyed arena, considering that lore-wise he comes and destroys Axion. But yeah, the boss itself seemed cool. He was really big. Final impression time. How was the demo, and is this enough for hype for Season 3? I'd say yeah. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. Everything felt really good. That new enemy, Legion, felt good, organic, fun to fight. Nell felt super good. Like, that was peak design. I'll definitely build her right away. Wallcrasher, I couldn't get a full opinion on, just because we only had him for 1 minute. And Axion overall felt pretty good. I think the only thing I would worry about is they need to tweak the numbers so the enemies do more damage. If they do that, I think Axion will be really solid. I think it'll be a really good addition to the game. I think the devs, you know, have done a really good job here with the enemies. Like I said, unfortunately this is a very limited demo, but I think this is pretty good. This is a good indication that Season 3 is going to be a lot of fun to play. Like I said, all they have to do, tweak the numbers, and that's super easy to do. That means the design's really on point, they just need to fine tune it. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Demo is overall pretty good. Like I said, some small issues as I mentioned throughout this video. Overall pretty good. Let me know what you guys thought of the demo. Did you like it? Anything you wish you had seen? Or anything you're looking forward to after this demo? Let me know down below the video. Also, I stream every day on Twitch if you want to discuss it there. I'll go ahead and throw it up on the video right there, and I'll put the link down below. If you guys did like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I appreciate y'all watching. Alright, catch you later.